That's
there,
a very good point.
and a historical society that's very fervent, and they want that old character to remain. I think Peekskill's kind of, we went, like you were saying, how there was that early mode where they wanted everything just knocked down and put up brand new, but now there seems to be a pullback, and you can see where there's this a phase where they want to try to save as much as the old Peekskill that was involved, and then modernize the interior of the facility.
You're right.
So let's hope that's for something
Well,
that's a good cause.
Take some particular examples. Drum Hill. Drum Hill,
Right.
the school up on the hill.
Correct.
Built in a neoclassical style. I went to school there. It was a lovely old building.
I was the last class to graduate there.
Well, there you go. We both familiar with that building, and it was derelict for how many years? 20 years? Or something
easy.
Like that?
Yes.
It was. I thought it was a total ruin. It was going to be torn down or just fall down.
Now it's a
But look at it now.
yeah.
All the things that you talked about, called adaptive reuse, or take the old building and modernize it from the inside,
Right.
but keep the facade on the outside, which Europeans have been doing for a long time.
And it's a gorgeous
And we're just
facility.
sort of getting that idea of it,
Sure.
that some of the older communities were, are already 400 years old in Peekskill. Why throw away the old thing? Why not just bring it up to date?
If anybody has ever seen that facility,
it's a beautiful,
it sits on
successful-
top of the hill. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. The view of the
And that's a
Hudson is
Perfect example
phenomenal.
of what can and should be done, or at
Sure.
least try to do
Sure.
with as many of the old things as possible. And we've seen that in other places as well. The Paramount Theater is another example of that.
Now, just getting back to this, though, I see you outlined, though, the certain red areas. Was that specifically where a lot of that urban renewal, we'll call it, occurred? Or
Well, Domenic, the red lines, everything in the red lines was drawn by the Urban Renewal Agency as
Right.
places to be destroyed.
Oh, really?
And that's what happened. This is the red lined areas.
Gotcha.
All of this neighborhood here, this extensive 5 blocks that it's now known as pretty much the Crossroads area. The apartment buildings are over here.
Sure.
And the shopping center is over there. Then there's another center in the downtown. That was phase 2. The core area, 3 sides of that block were torn out, and the only block remaining is on North Division Street. And then up near Oakside, that whole neighborhood was all torn out. The old Oakside School and all the businesses and houses in there.
Sure.
And from there, it even spread out from there until finally it stopped around 1975.
Sure.
So,
I mean, I never realized, just looking at where right now where the Crossroads is and the vacant lot across the street. And I mean, born and raised in Peekskill, I never realized how much actually single family, and maybe it looks like 2-family housing actually made up the majority of that square block in a sense. It's massive.
that's right.
I didn't realize it was that much.
That's right. I'm always amazed at this myself, that this is almost entirely a residential area.
Sure.
And it was mixed population too. There were some European immigrants, Poles and Hungarians and Czechs, and there was black people and Jews, and everybody living there pretty harmoniously and together.
Sure.
And all of that was changed, let's put it that way.
Sure. As a matter of fact,
And,
you can almost tell by that picture that it looks like at that time Bowman Towers is just being built, because the property, the surrounding it is it's all dirt and there's no asphalt.
Bowman
to speak
came
of,
in just around that time.
Yeah, right.
61 and so
So
on.
you can see they're still working on it right there.
More than a third of the entire downtown was destroyed.
Wow.
And so again, you go back to all those words, how are we going to change it and bring it back and do all
A
those
third
things.
because of urban renewal.
Yes, all of this area was destroyed.
Would you say another third
Within
was
the
from
red
those,
lines.
those 2 huge fires that kind of encompassed the
Well,
downtown
the
also?
program was deliberately to destroy the old community. And the executive director at that time had an extravagant plan, because this was so extensive, the demolition in the downtown, to actually rebuild the community on the river, to fill in the bay and build a new place called Newtown.
Oh, no kidding.
That's how extravagant the whole thing was. It was
So from the riverfront right up through, let's say, Water Street
all of Central
area.
Avenue was also torn out. You
Sure.
you really can't see it here. It was even more extensive than this.
Sure.
So that's why this is always an interesting topic.
Okay, so let's move on because we're very limited in time here. So past and present, how do they mix? Conflict or complement each other, and contemporary issues?
Well, there's a philosophical statement for you.
Yeah.
But bring it on a human level. A lot of people ask, why should I care about history? What does it mean to me? But if you stop to think about it just, on the superficial level, everybody celebrates their birthday. What's a birthday mean? That's the previous year. Gee,
Right.
I lived another year. And you make a big deal about it. How about an anniversary? marriage, graduation, whatever it may be. Your child is born, that's a big deal because the memory of your own family is important.
Sure.
That's history.
Right.
It's not some esoteric academic thing.
Right.
The passage of time is important to us. And take the holidays, the national holidays. Why do we celebrate, the 4th of July
Sure,
and the 4th of July?
it's not only remembrance, but it's a continuity to
That's
show where
right.
you were from and
That's right.
where we are now and where you'd like to go in a
Yeah.
sense. So it's kind of connected.
Yeah, it certainly is connected. I don't want to digress too much, but I think of that you ever see that film Groundhog Day, where the man has to constantly repeat the same day
Yes.
over and over again until he gets it right?
Sure, that's right.
That's what happens when you don't have history, because we'll hardly ever get it right. We do the best we can each day to get through.
Future projects.
Future projects. I would like to focus on the innovations that came out of the Hudson Valley, and there were many, beginning with the steam engine that was adapted to the riverboat.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Western Union Company began from people in the Hudson Valley, Morse and Cooper and some other people, Cornell. There's so many things that began. The Associated Press began from people living near Peekskill. The owner-editor of Scientific American magazine, the Beach Shopping Center, named for this family. He was the owner and editor of Scientific American magazine, all the great innovations of the late 1800s. So I'd like to focus on that. I'm still researching it.
What about, is it true Crayola crayons
There's
had also
another
their
one.
roots in
International
Peekskill?
company grew right out of the Peekskill Chemical Works of Binney and Smith, which is still known as today in eastern Pennsylvania.
And also the other one I'd heard is that I don't know if it's the producer or the person who wrote the story Wizard of Oz, that the yellow brick road concept came from the city of Peekskill because of all the bricks that were the fired kill one that you would use that were then laid down in the streets, and that he was, I believe, something to do with the Peekskill Military Academy, and he came here in the summers for his summers off.
Well, Frank Baum was a student at the Peekskill Military Academy.
There's the connect then, yes.
And he later went on to write all the famous Oz books.
Right.
And later in life, when he was living in Chicago, he donated his library back to the Academy. So he never really forgot his association.
Yeah. So there does seem to be that connect.
Yeah, there's
where
all
there's
those
that
types of things
possibility.
that'd be nice to bring in.
Sure, because before really, as you see asphalt being laid down, much of Peekskill was cobblestone, brick,
That's right.
that type of paver that was
That's
literally
right.
on the streets. Because we had the trolley systems that were here,
Yeah.
plus we also had the horse-drawn carriages,
That's
so
right.
it made sense. So.
Well, the yellow brick apparently is the older brick. And the red brick actually has oxide added to it of some sort to make it red. So the earlier or Dutch brick is really white or yellow. And the point being, to go right to the story, that Baum comes in as a child from Syracuse, where his family lives, to attend the local academy here, and he would either have to arrive by rail, by the railroad, or by the steamboat. And the first thing you see when you get off there is the paving stones of the yellow brick. And he might have asked,
Sure.
where is the academy? Well, it's up on that hill. Just follow this yellow brick, and you'll get there. As it was in other places also, leading up to the academy.
Sure. Listen, books
There's a
are
great
life.
plausibility.
Sure,
to that
it's a
story.
life. A book is a life experience, and I'm sure somewhere there's got to be a connect. There's got to be a tie. It just doesn't come up like
Just
that.
follow the yellow brick road.
Sure,
And there you go. And
Very good.
you have Judy Garland singing it.
Well, listen, John, time is almost done here. You've been a great host.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been for anybody, like I said, a great guest. If anyone is still interested, contacting you, the Peekskill Museum. Your phone number at the museum once again? 736-0473. We're also in the telephone book. Okay, and if they ever want to contact for a private viewing of the museum inside? Or
Same way, open on Saturdays to the public and otherwise by appointment.
And are any of these books on sale?
Most everything is out of print,
Okay.
Except the newer one.
Yeah, the newer one is still up on sale right now.
People ask me if I'm making money on these things. Not with local history, you don't make any money. You're being good if you break even.
Right.
But it is available at some of the local bookstores.
Thank you, John. All right, well, that's once again another wrap-up for the Volpe Report. I'm your host, Domenic Volpe. Our guest tonight again was the city historian for the city of Peekskill, John Curran. We say thank you and good night.
there ain't no doubt I love